Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10 first and foremost. Everybody alright? Everybody ready to roll? Well, let's go ahead and make it do what it do then. Hosea 12 and 10. Okay, now somebody got a lot going on. Got to be cognizant and considerate of others because they can hear everything. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So now we sit back and look at it. He done multiplied visions and he used things that were similar by the preaching of the prophets. So let's see how we can see it. Let's go to Numbers chapter 14. Numbers chapter 14. Let's pick it up by verse 12. I guess verse 11 will do. We looked at this a little bit last week, but we're going to look at it a little bit more. Put a couple things into it. See what the Lord got for us. And y'all said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? How long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them? Hold on, let's sit back and look at something. Let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1 real fast. See, a lot of people be saying stuff. See, now, if you're going to sit back and you say you're a Jew, then you ought to be seeking for signs. And we talked about that a little bit the other day. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 1 by verse 17. We talked about this the other day. Last week, I should say. About the children of Yah being for signs and wonders. Now, if you seek to be desired to be a son of Yah, a son of the living Elohim, then obviously you need to become a sign. That sign means that you would have took on the sun. And how else you gonna take on the sun if you missing the sign? Anybody know about baseball? You know the catcher flash signs, so you know what pitch gonna come. So the pitcher know what pitch to throw. And you know you would have the other teams that try to steal signs so they know what's coming. See, we don't have to steal no sign. God gave us the signs so we can know what's coming. But we've been too stupid to see them. Verse 17, for the Messiah sent me not to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with wisdom of words, lest the cross of the Messiah should be made of none effect. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of God. So we sit back and look at the suffering of the Messiah is utter stupidity, foolishness to the people of the world. See, a lot of people in the world, they sit back and they feel like we preaching about a man dying and raising from the dead. They can't seem to understand that. Dude, I just seen a dude put a picture up and say, I reject Christ and I accept Yah. Not realizing you rejected both of them. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's see that though. Let's look at 2 John. Let's just see that though. See, we don't take our time to go through this stuff about the Messiah just because we think it's cool. And we just want to seem like we know so much and we just want to impart information. You know what I'm saying? The purpose of it is for the salvation of your soul. Because you have to know these things. That's why I'm tripping on the dude going back and forth about summer and winter. Nigga, if you believe in spring and fall, you in error. It's something as minute as that we supposed to know that. Our season's not broke up in no 4-month blocks. Verse 8 of 2 John. Make it 7. Matter of fact, make it 7 of the second epistle of John. Verse 7. For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that Yahshua the Messiah has come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and anti-Messiah. Look to yourselves that we lose not those things. You already told you. Look to yourselves that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. Whosoever transgress abide not in the doctrine of the Messiah have not God. He that abideth in the doctrine of the Messiah, he have both the Father and the Son. There is no way in the world you're going to have the Son and you don't have the Father and you don't believe in the Son. It's impossible. That's impossible. We know that from the law, right? Let's look at Deuteronomy 18 and 18. Let's see if we just know that from the law. Let's just see if we know that from the law. Since I mentioned it, I guess we might well just look at the law and let's see. And then we maybe can look at Psalm 2 and 12. I know Goldie loves Psalm 2 and 12. Deuteronomy 18 and 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. So if you have that prophet, then you would have the man who sought that prophet, now wouldn't you? Because you would be abiding the doctrine of the Messiah, since the law said that he would put this teaching in this man's mouth. Let's look at Psalms 2 and 12 for those. Amen. Thank the Lord. Make it 11. Matter of fact, make it 10. Psalm 2 and 10. We'll get to the root of the matter. Uh-oh, somebody look like they're getting a calf there. Somebody getting a calf. Don't tell us stuff like that. They don't know how to act. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve y'all with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Well, let's look at John 11 and 25, and let's see how blessed you are if you put your trust in him. Matter of fact, we might even look. That ain't that something? It said kiss the Son. They put it in all cap, and they put it in capital letters. Niggas say that's David. When he ever told you to kiss David? When he ever called David a son? When we see him referring to stuff, he always referenced Solomon. He didn't say nothing about David. So how is that David? Why would David tell you honor me? That don't make no sense. If David's a prophet, so he was prophesying by himself. Verse 25 of John chapter 11. Yahshua said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever live and believe in me shall never die. Believe thou this. So wouldn't you be blessed if you put your trust in him? Because he said if you live and believe in him, you would never taste death. Kingston. Thank you. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 1. So that's amazing. See, the reason why we sit back and look at it, we know the Messiah told us to take up our cross and follow him, right? We also know that Peter told us that the Messiah suffered in the flesh, leaving us an example that we should likewise suffer in the flesh. Because he that suffered in the flesh ceased from sin, right? See, that's why the preaching of the cross to these ignorant niggas is foolishness, because they don't want to stop sinning. See, they thinking that, oh, y'all preaching this dead nigga. Man, they ain't dead. Didn't we just read in Isaiah 8 and say, why seek ye the dead among the living? And then we went back, when we went back and we looked at when they came to the grave, what did the angel told them? Why you seek the dead? The living among the dead. He's risen. Because Isaiah told you that. He said they go to wizards and those that peep. He said, shouldn't you seek to the living instead of the dead? While you amongst your God? That's what we sitting back looking at. That's what we sitting back looking at. Well, where are we at in verse 17? We in actually 19. See, that's the power of God for us. How is that the power of God? Like the preaching the cross of the Messiah. How is that the power of God to those that are saved? But I mean, but how? I'm asking, I want to make sure you understand fully what I'm asking. If he say the preaching of the cross is the power of God to those that are saved, how would that? Come on now, your head. Can't see. How would that be? How would the cross be the power of God to them that be saved? If I'm not being clear what I'm asking, let me know so I can try to frame it a little bit. Hold on, no, hold on. I'm asking one person, and if he don't get it, then I ask the rest. Y'all be patient. I think you're ready now, and I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? No, I really do. I appreciate that. But you understand what I'm saying? No. Okay, he says the preaching of the cross, which would be the sacrifice of the Messiah, is the power of God to them that are saved. So how is the preaching of the cross or the sacrifice or the death of the Messiah, how is that the power to those who are saved?
So that's what we believe in.
Not just a resurrection, because that's what he's saying. How is it the preaching of the cross is? Because let's look at 1 Peter 4 and 1, let's see. Let's see if it makes it clear. Now we got to see, he say the preaching of the cross. Then I guess we'll see if anybody remember who it referenced back to when we go back and we look at it. But let's look at 1 Peter 4 and 1. Because I know the question kind of sounds crazy, but I'm trying to generate something of how this is the power of Yah towards us who believe. He say, for as much then as the Messiah hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that hath suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin, that he should no longer live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of God. Now let me read you verse 3 too. For the time past of our life we may suffice us to wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revilings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that you run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you. Now I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to say this here because it just hit my mind, and I'm speaking to Pasha at this moment. Now I ain't going to say this here that that's what your brother was doing, but how you put out how your brother was saying that stuff to you about the Sabbath, it's quite possible your brother was mocking you, and you didn't even catch it. Because you're not running to go do the same stuff that you used to go do with them, and you thinking that they might be clowning, and in actuality they probably mocking you. You know what I'm talking about? So you have to realize something. This man told us, I didn't come to bring peace but a sword to set division. We went through this about a month or so ago, that this man severed us amongst other people to make you his. That means he'll sever you from your mama, your daddy, your sisters, your brother. And I ain't telling you ain't got to talk to your people. And I ain't telling you ain't got to love your family. But I'm telling you that's probably the most difficult thing for people to do, which is to forsake their family to say they so. Let's look at Luke 14, 26. And you have to be willing to do that. Because sometimes you hear people say stuff and you thinking they just being funny because you know their nature. But when it comes to their word, 99.9% of the time, they mocking you. You thinking, boy, bro, crazy, crazy. But they actually mocking you. And you got to sit back and look at it. If they mocking you, they mocking the man whom you say you believe on. And I wouldn't care who it was. I don't want nothing to do with you. Because I ain't fooling with nobody mocking my God. I wouldn't care if it's my mammy, daddy, whoever. I can't be messed up with you. That's just me. I don't play them type games. I cut you. When it comes to my soul, come to you mocking my God, I cut y'all real fast. And I ain't finna sit around and listen to nobody mock my God. That I'm not going to do. He say, verse 26 of Luke 14, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own. I want you to keep in mind, because I promise to you, all this stuff going to tie right back into what we looking in number 14. I promise it will. He say, and his own life also. He cannot be my disciple. Whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. There go that cross again. Now we know that the cross signifies sacrifice, meaning that you will be willing to give something up. Now let's come on back over here and let's look at Romans chapter 6 and let's see how that cross is the power of y'all. To those that believe. And I'm going to see who remember who this ties back to.
You said what?
Romans chapter 6. Verse 1, young man. See, I'm asking y'all this for a reason. I know how the question sounded. It sounded kind of weird, and there was no way you would probably be able to catch what I was trying to ask you. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Know ye not that so many of us were baptized into Yahshua, the Messiah, were baptized into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as the Messiah was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. See, I know you was referring to the literal resurrection of the dead, but the power of the cross is, if you're willing to take up your cross and follow this man, that means you're willing to die to your lust and your flesh. And where did we read about somebody saying, bury me with somebody? Who remembers what we read that about a man saying, bury me with somebody? Huh? Yeah, that was that 1 Kings 13 chapter when that old prophet that said to that man of Judah, he say, bury me in the sepulchre of the man of God. So if we sit here and he say, if you don't take up your cross and follow me, if you're not willing to give up your life for the word, then the cross can't be. That's why these niggas look at it. They thinking we talking about something else. We talking about giving up something to get something. You know what I'm talking about? This man gave up everything he had before he came in the flesh, which is what we looking at this evening. He gave all that up to lay his life down for us. Now we have to turn around. That's why Paul say, if we judge that one has died for all, then we should all live under him who died for us. That means we would take up that cross and bear it and lay your life down for the Lord's sake. That means you would suffer in the flesh. That means you would forsake everything. That means you would hate your own life. You would hate what you want. John chapter 6, verse 30. We come back to number 14. We got to finish 1 Corinthians chapter 1. No, carrying the cross definitely don't mean wearing chains. I never even thought that. That never even came across my mind before. I don't know where to get that from. Verse 35. That's better. Yahshua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that come to me shall never hunger. He that believe on me shall never thirst. But I say unto you, that ye also have seen me, and believe not. Some of y'all done sat there and heard this man and seen him in this book, and you still don't believe. Man talking to you. Don't be no dummy. All that the Father give me shall come to me, and him that come to me I will know in no wise cast out. You see how that go back to what we were looking at in number 16 before we even started with the protocol there had? That man said, y'all knows who are those that are his, and those whom he have chosen. I go back to this man tell you, my sheep hear my voice and they come after me. This man say, all that are mine, they come to me. So if you say, if you are the Messiah, you're going to come to the word, you're going to walk in it. See, Paul was of the Messiah. When he was revealed that Yahshua was the Messiah, didn't he come to walk in it? That man's eyes were open. That man said, I'm going. I'm going to say, I'm going. They ain't no sit back thinking about, well, shoot, I think I might still want to kill a couple people who call on his name. Now how some of y'all think, well, I know he called me. He showed himself to me. I still going to sleep with that woman. I'm going to still put the earrings in that gold necklace on. Well, a little weave in my head ain't going to hurt nobody. You know, I'm going to sip a little wine. Who going to know? You know what I'm talking about? I cuss a nigga out. He ain't going to tell nobody. That's how y'all think. You know what I'm talking about? That's how y'all think. I slide this in here. Ain't nobody going to know. And y'all been forgetting one big thing. The Lord know, dummy it. You more worried about what the people gonna think, and you don't care what he think. Oh boy, you know what that is? What's the best word you would describe for that, Dr. White?
I like the word emphasis.
My brother-in-law said he would say imbecile. I would say that mind frame is highly detrimental. Dangerous is an adjective that doesn't even do justice. You know what I'm talking about? Basically what it is, warning, radioactive brain. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're going to sit back and contaminate and kill everyone whom you come across. You have to sit back and look at it now. And I told y'all this before, I'm going to tell you, if you profess this man, do you not know people sit back looking at you and they looking at behavior that would mimic this man? And you sitting back claiming this here, but they see, I'm telling you, you wonder why some of the people y'all done approach, they don't want to come hear none of this stuff. They don't want to see what you doing, because they looking at you and they be like, nigga, that ain't matching up. They looking at you. You sitting back to my, yeah, man, we talk, man, we can live without sin. We can live like that. They sitting back looking at you like, really? That's why that dude, when we was on the phone with the young man from Texas, that's why he's screwing that out. Sure, like I said, he known that man 6-7 years. You've been hanging with somebody 6-7 years, you pretty say y'all probably good friends with him.
Not from much.
You know what I'm talking about? And he know you. And this man stood up and said, nigga, you false teaching we could be without sin. He said, I guarantee you that this man will never stop sinning, will never get right. I said, wow. I say, man, you hang with that nigga after that, you are a fool. Because he just showed you what was in his heart and how he really felt about you. And his feeling about that was not because he felt like I was some manner of false teacher, because you running in this man's ear talking about you can be like this, but he know you, he around you, he see you every day, you don't match it. So when you always telling him about what I'm saying and what I'm showing you, that nigga sit back looking at that nigga got to be false. Why that stuff ain't took hold of you? You know what I'm saying? That's how you looking at it. If somebody came to you telling you that about how somebody teaching them the word, telling them this, telling them that, you could be without sin, and you sit back and you know the nigga, and you sitting back looking at him like, I ain't seen no change in this nigga whatsoever. Either something wrong with you or that nigga lying. How would you look at it? Would you look at it that? Huh?
You pointed out. What it called?
Yeah, I mean, I just be honest. That's why I tell y'all that. Y'all be wanting to run and go tell people, yeah, man, I know this guy, man, he teach this, he teach that. But if your lifestyle don't represent that, they don't want to hear that. Don't be going to tell people you can live without sin, and when ain't nobody around, you sinning every chance you get. Because when they hear that come out your mouth, the first thing clicking in their mind, hypocrite, ears closed, eyes shut. I don't want nothing you got to say. Y'all don't think about that though. Some of y'all know this because I done told y'all this before. This man say, every time you commit sin, you cause his name to be blasphemed. Y'all run around here, you name yourself after this man, you do stuff the man tell you not to do, and you blaspheme this man's name when you come in front of these people trying to tell them about it, they don't want to hear. All they sit back here, why would I want to follow a God you don't even follow? Why would I fear God you don't even fear? Verse 38. Let's see this here. Let's see the type of mind he had. See if any of y'all got that mind. For I come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. If you're going to take up your cross and follow him, that's the mind you got to have. You can't do what you want to do. You got to do with the will of the man who you say you believe on. How you going to say you believe on this man and he didn't do what he wanted to do? He did what his father sent him to do. But you gonna do what you want to do. That's what he say. Many call for you or chosen, you gonna hear it, but you ain't gonna be saved though. Now with that type of mind, that's dangerous. Come on back to 1 Corinthians chapter 1. That's why he say the preaching of the cross is foolishness to them in the world. When you sit back telling people to die to their own self, they don't want to hear that. I see these niggas arguing back and forth, talking about battling with these Kemet dudes. I'm talking about like my man Qual like to say, these niggas real WWF. These niggas making videos against each other. Like the promos. You know how the wrestlers do the promos? Niggas literally doing that. One nigga make a video, I'ma make a video. Nigga on the video, nigga say, nigga, I keep my pistol on me. How do you say you men of God, nigga say tell another man, I keep my pistol on me? I say, Lord have mercy. Them white people ain't right. Verse 19. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where's the wise? Where's the scribe? Where's the dispute of this world? Have not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. For Jews require a sign, and Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach the Messiah crucified unto Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, the Messiah, the power of God, and the wisdom of God. You sit back and you see what he said. He said, when we preach the Messiah to these Israelites, that's a stumbling block. They fall at it. You preach it to these Gentiles, they think you stupid. When you preach the real story, not that fake story they've been hearing. When you preach the true Messiah, they think you crazy. But you notice something that he said right here, how Jews seek out the signs. And what does that take us back to what we just looked at last week? I narrowed down on Christmas Eve. He said Jews seek after a sign. What does that take us back to what we just looked at Christmas Eve? Jeremiah chapter 2. About verse 1 or 2. I can't narrow it down no better than that. And I know one of y'all flipping to it to try to see what it say right now. Who doing that? Who gonna be honest to tell the truth? Huh? Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. You see how that tie right back into that? Because the Jews, when they were preaching the Messiah crucified, they were dismayed at the signs of heaven. Yeah. He told you don't learn the way of the heathen because the signs of heaven were foolishness to them. See, we done looked at the signs of heaven and it's foolishness to us. But to us that I believe, that's the power of God. I've got to look at it, the power of God. The Ruach HaKodesh. How many of y'all trying to get it? Kingston, sit down. Sit down. Don't you move. As long as you sit on the floor, that's good enough. Number 14, y'all.
Hey, you kind of making for the stage you do and I'll put it.
Thanks.
I had told that the first time. Take it somewhere. Not in there. I said you take it back in there. But then again, they probably would have played in there. I didn't think they were going to play that hard. Before we got here, I was not anticipating that. I'm not even going to tell you no lie.
My girl, won't you? Got sleep together, won't you, nigga?
You can lay on the floor, we babies.
No, I don't care. That's how it starts.
Man, that boy ain't sitting right there thinking about another
Yeah, okay. He will be soon.
Yeah, about another 10 years.
Yeah, got me bent. Nigga, I was that age. Getting in.
Well, you don't even know what you were doing at one.
I sure wouldn't, but I was still getting in.
How you know?
Because I know I was.
No, you didn't. Still nasty butt down. You wasn't no freaky little baby.
Alright. I ain't seen.
Yeah, man. Because anybody will sit here and confirm that for you. Talking about you
I don't
a
need
freaky
no
1-year-old baby. Right, talking about you.
But I'm talking about, I said soon.
What this nigga here crazy?
Around 4 5, straight dry humping that.
Stay here a while. verse 11, y'all. Again, number 14. I don't know what we're gonna do with him.
I know what little boys think.
He says, and Yah said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? How long will it be ere that they believe me? For all the signs which I have showed among them, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them. And I will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. So now let's sit back and look at that. He said he would disinherit them and make a greater nation and more powerful than them. What y'all think that could be referring to? Sit back. I will smite them with the pestilence. I will disinherit them. I will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than thee. We know that. I mean, I know y'all know that, but how? I mean, come on, Kodesh and Trav, y'all know, cause I just talked to y'all about this. But how did he disinherit them? Huh? You know, see how he did it. Exactly, because we just dealt with that. But Kodesh and Trav, y'all hold on, I already know y'all already know that. Because I just showed y'all that. So let's sit back and let's look at that in Genesis chapter 12. What? What's so funny?
He crying.
Oh, he crying?
Alright.
No, give him something to cry about.
He alright.
I'm telling you, you ain't old school. Get that nigga to cry, give you something to cry about.
I was scared. He sleeps in a little toddler bed.
Now, he ain't crying because no taller bed. He crying because he don't want to go to bed. Learn the difference.
He probably scared.
He ain't scared. That ain't no scared cry. That's I don't want to go to sleep cry.
You know, I told him not. He said, okay.
Okay.
He sleep in the dark.
She got a mic. She still got a little light
Oh,
for him.
you know.
He probably scared. Could have
Yeah, that little boy alright. Now y'all said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house.
Sleep in the dark, but you gonna put him in the dark and kind of go to sleep. At a stranger's house.
Genesis 12.
That's just man.
Now y'all said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation. And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as Yah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Now we know that this is dealing with what, y'all? For some of y'all, this ain't nothing new. What are they dealing with? We just really, what are they dealing with? We just rehearsing something back. Some of y'all know what it is. You remember? He just told Abraham to get from out his father's house. Didn't we just read the man say, I came down from heaven to do the will of my father? Didn't he just tell him? So who would be his kinsmen or his brethren who he departed from? That would be the angels. That would be the angels. Let's look at Revelation 22 so y'all can see that would be the angels. Just for those who ain't never heard it before. Revelation 22 and 8. See, we looking at something because he disinherited him. So what we looking at, and after that we can look at Galatians 4 and 1. We're looking at something to understand something. If he disinherited me, I gave up my inheritance. We actually got to go back and show how Yahshua is his inheritance and what was his inheritance that he disinherited. And then after he disinherited it, he said, I'll make you a greater nation and mightier than what I got rid of. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I heard and seen, I fell down to worship. And before the feet of the angel which showed me these things, then saith he unto me, see thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren, the prophets, of them which keep the sayings of this book, worship God. So we see the angel would be his brethren now, wouldn't he? He got away from that. Let's look at Genesis 25. Revelation 22 and 8. Let's look at Genesis 25 and 29. Revelation 22 and 8. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware to him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drank, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Now we're going to sit back and look at something. Do any of y'all read anywhere where it said that Esau ate raw meat? Because you know these dudes be out here teaching people that this man ate raw meat. I didn't want to see that anybody read in there, what did he eat? What did he eat? Bread and beans. Is beans a proper word for lentils, everyone? They say the man ate raw meat. I don't see raw meat in here anywhere. Now we look at something. How does this go back to the Messiah when this man say, I'm at the point to die? What profit shall his birthright do to me? Let's look what he said right here. He said, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? Well, let's look at the birthright in Genesis 27. We'll see how Esau despised his birthright. Let's look at the birthright and let's see what came with it here in about verse 26 or the 27th chapter of the book of Genesis. Let's see what's a part of that birthright. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. He came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is the smell of a field which Yah have blessed. Therefore God give thee the dew of heaven, the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let the people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that cursed thee, and blessed be he that blessed thee. So now we just sit back and look at what is the dew of heaven? That's the spirit. What is the fatness of the earth? The fatness of the earth would be all the riches, everything in the earth. Remember when we go back to Adam? He gave Adam dominion over everything. He said give him dominion over the whole earth, over the beasts of the field, over the fishes of the sea, everything that's here, let him rule it. We look at, so let the people serve thee and the nations bow down to thee. At the tongue of Yahshua HaMashiach, every knee gonna bow, every tongue gonna confess. Let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. And you know, and let's see how cursed be him that cursed thee. John chapter 3, verse 18. Somebody don't sound pleased. I guess she done got him to hush. He that believe on him is not condemned, but he that believe not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light had come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. Everyone that do evil hate the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. See, that's going right back to those dudes that have a problem with the preaching of the cross, because when you preach the cross, it's going to show forth that they sinners and they have need of a Savior. See, they quickly saying, Yah is my Savior. He didn't need no human sacrifice. Who said the man was a human sacrifice? Did y'all ever say this man was a human sacrifice? He said, I'll make this man an offering for sin. And we have enough sense to know that every offering for sin in the book, he lined up with it. So actually, he became that goat, or that bullock, or that lamb. Niggas so don't even realize a Passover lamb wasn't even an offering for sin, now was it? Hold on. I want to make sure you see that y'all understand. What was the Passover lamb for? Okay, but I'm talking about, but specifically, what was the lamb for? When the Passover lamb was sacrificed and the blood was put upon on the doorpost, what happened after that?
Yeah.
Not the death, not the killing. What happened after that? Huh? Hold on. What happened after that is they came out of captivity. That was a sacrifice that brought them out of captivity. Huh? So hold on. Somebody got ice cream truck playing.
What?
You hear? Hey, call me. I gotta do something with that. You gotta do something with that. Yeah, you gotta do something with that. We can't have that. You gotta do something with that. But I mean, I understand that, but we sit back looking at it is Yahshua the Passover lamb. He brought us out of captivity, which is sin. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the Passover lamb was about, because after it was sacrificed, they said, you niggas gotta go. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all got to go. Y'all got to leave it. See, there was a reason why that last plague that he put on them was him killing all of them. Because since, that goes back, we'll look at it, but that goes back to them 7 abominations though. I got to kill you too. You know what I'm talking about? Because y'all can see here, they looking at that. He put a plague on them, firstborn son get killed. Those same 7 abominations that shed the innocent blood and all that, they'll come back on. Firstborn son was killed. And then we know when he come back, what is he coming to do? Kill. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at that in a little bit though, Lord permit. So, we sit back and look at that. If you condemn, you don't believe on the Son. How could you even say you had life without him? How are you going to sit here and say you believe and not walk in him? Because you're not willing to take up your cross. That means good. We just sat back and looked at all these things. He said, I'm going to disinherit him. Now we sitting back and looking at that we got somebody saying, what good is their birthright going to do for me, seeing that I'm at the point of death? Let's look at Matthew 16 and let's just look at what he told Peter. Let's just look at what he told Peter. Let's look at Matthew 16 and let's look at about verse 14 and then we'll move along. Make it 13. When Yahshua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they say, some say that thou art John the Baptist. Some say Elijah, others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He saith unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Messiah, the Son of the living God. So now we sit back and we look at this blessing. We know from Psalm chapter 2, he said, thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, I'll give the heathen for thine inheritance, meaning let the people bow to honor thee. So that means if he said he'll give this his inheritance, that means that will belong to him, wouldn't it? That means now we know from Exodus 4 and 22, he said Israel is my firstborn, which means that will be his inheritance. But he said, I'm going to disinherit them because of the provoking of not believing my signs. I'm going to get rid of it. Make somebody come up to be stronger, more powerful than they are. Because they just provoked me. I'm going to smite them with pestilence. Anybody know what pestilence is? What is pestilence? A disease. And what do we remember about a disease, what we just read recently? He said, I'm going to smite him with pestilence. What did we just read in Job about a disease? Just last week. Did he tell you by cause of my disease, my garment would change? So he said, I'm going to smite him with a pestilence. I'm going to smite him with a disease. So we see in the disease that he was smiting with was death. And then he said, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to disinherit it. Make you more powerful. Talking to Moses. Even though we got to see the parallel or the similitude of what we're looking at. Good Lord. What was that? John 16. Drop down to 20. Yes, I am very. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Yahshua the Messiah. Thank the Lord for this paper powder. From that time forth began Yahshua to show unto the disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art an offense to me, but thou savest not the thing that be of God, but those that be of men. See, he sat back and looked at it. What good is my inheritance, my birthright, going to do for me at that time? You trying to tell me not to despise? If he just told him he the Messiah, the Son of the living God, he know the birthright, the inheritance is his, isn't it? Let's look at something else in Luke chapter 22. Let me see if that's what I want. It might be Matthew 26 or Mark 15. What Peter like this here. Let's see what Mark 15 say, because we know Peter went hard. Peter was ready to go. Peter was ready to go. Mark 14 to 26. And we can shoot over to John 18. And when they sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Yahshua said unto them, All ye shall be offended of me because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. But after I am risen, I will go before you into Galilee. But Peter said unto him, Although all should be offended, yet will not I. So let's go to John chapter 18. Let's see if Peter said he wasn't going to be offended. Peter was ready to do something. Let's see what Peter was willing to do. John chapter 18, about verse 8. Yahshua answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way, that the same might be fulfilled, which he spake of them, which thou gave me, have I lost none. And Simon Peter, having drawn a sword, and smote the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear, that servant was Malchus. Then said Yahshua unto Peter, Put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? Now, if he sit back and he drink this cup, we know what is he drinking, right? He drinking the cup of the wrath of his wrath, right? Now, we sitting back looking at it, he said because of the people provoking him to wrath, he was going to smite them with pestilence, right? Which means he would smite them with the disease of death, or the cup of trembling, as we done already heard. Now, Peter is willing to ride. Peter's not really looking at the simple fact, though. Yahshua telling him, Peter, I got to drink this cup. What good is this inheritance going to do for me? What good is this point of this birthright? I'm about to faint. I'm about ready to die. What good is it going to do for me? Let's look what he told Pilate here in verse 36. Yahshua answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Yahshua answered, Thou say that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth hear my voice. Pilate saith unto him, What is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again unto the Jews, and saith unto them, I find him in no fault at all. But you have a custom that I should release unto you one at the Passover. Will you therefore that I release unto you the King of the Jews? Then cried they all again, saying, Not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber. Let's look at Matthew 26, and let's see what we can see. Because we know that Yahshua in Luke 22, he had to be strengthened by the angels, right? That means he was ready to faint then, wasn't he? He was at a point of death. He said, What good is this birthright going to do to me, seeing I'm about to faint and I'm about ready to die? Get on around now. Matthew 26 and 52 one more time. We're talking about Peter cutting off that man ear. Y'all then said Yahshua unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Think thou that I cannot pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that it thus must be? In the same hour said Yahshua to the multitudes, Are you come out against me as a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple. Ye laid no hold on me. But all they were done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they that had laid hold on Yahshua led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. Now he just sat back and said he could pray to his Father for 12 legions of angels. That would sound like he would have a little bit of authority now, wouldn't it? Because what do firstborn sons get from their father? What do they get? They get an inheritance. But he just sat back and said the scriptures got to be fulfilled. He had already told these men he had to die, and he's sitting back going through all this going on. All of them want to stand up, no, this ain't going to happen to you. And he's sitting back telling them, what good is this birthright going to do to me? I'm at the point of death. So I forsake it. I'll give it up. See, he gave it up with his own blood. So I'll give that inheritance up. But what do we sit back and look at? Proverbs 13 to 7. Sit back and look at what's going on here. Proverbs 13 to 7. Then what you got to look at. There is that make himself rich, yet have nothing. There is that make himself poor, yet have great riches. So who would this take us back to? What story would this be about? Who knows? Kodesh, y'all hold your peak. I just showed y'all this. So I know you know. I just showed y'all that a couple days ago. Let's look at Matthew chapter 19, verse 16. He said, there's a man who had great riches, but he had absolutely nothing. And he said, there's a man who maketh himself poor, and yet have great riches. And you can also sit back and look at that poor being what? What would that poor be? Yeah, that meaning humility. No, not that one, but that's something close to it, but it ain't that one though. Matthew 19 and 16. It's close to it, but it ain't that one. Matthew 19 and 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why call thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandment. Now I want to ask y'all a question. Why did this man just say that? Why did the Messiah just say that to this man? Why did he say, Why do you call me good? That too, but I'm talking about specifically what we looking for. Why would he do this? Not just besides the fact that we know Psalm 14 and Psalm 53 say there's no man that's good upon the earth. No, not one. But why would he say this? Let's look at Proverbs. Let's look at There you go. There you go. There you go. Let's look at Proverbs 27. Let's see what. Proverbs 27 and 1. I got some stuff in Proverbs 20. We won't get to it today though. Proverbs 27 and 1. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou know not what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thy own mouth, a stranger, and not thy own lips. Now he said let another man do it. He did it, but how did a stranger praise him? Y'all know how a stranger praised him? And we'll also look at Philippians 2 and 5 too. How did a stranger praise him? Y'all know how a stranger praised him? Let's look at Matthew 27. Let's see how a stranger praised him. Matthew 27 54. That's what y'all got to remember. Another man should praise you. You shouldn't do it. Shouldn't be bearing witness of yourself. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Yahshua saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly this was the Son of God. Wouldn't that Roman centurion be a stranger? If he bear witness that this man was the Son of God, wouldn't he be given praise? Philippians 2 and 5 real fast. I'm going to show you why that man out here. If you praise yourself, wouldn't you be making a reputation about yourself? It's like this here now. And I'll tell you now, my brother-in-law will do a thing, but if he come and tell you he can get off on the basketball court, that's his own reputation. He's making his own reputation. What do you say? I'll take that as yes. Yeah, because he quick to tell somebody he gonna dunk on somebody or something. Who? Yeah, right person be in there. Name Levine, maybe Mark. You're telling you sky on somebody. I done heard you tell dude to come up there so you can dunk on him. Who do you think you talking about? I heard it. I seen it too.
I ain't gonna be no random nigga. Yeah, I'll dunk on you, cuz. I don't do it like that, man.
I feel you now. Shoot, if I can jump high enough,
I tell you, I'll smash on you, nigga.
If I can jump high enough, I'll tell and nigga now, you be up under the rim. You getting crashed on.
No, I don't do that.
Let this mind be in you, which was also in the Messiah Yahshua, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Somebody take that speakerphone off. But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found fashioned as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. That's going right back to giving up that inheritance. You got to take that speakerphone off. You can't have it on. Back to Matthew 19. This is another reason why he told this man, why you call me good? Ain't one good but God. He didn't take on no reputation of himself. He let other people praise him. He didn't do it. How many times did you see this man walk around telling people who he was? I'm this, I'm that, and all. We stopped in verse 17, now we're in verse 18. He saith unto them, which Yahshua said, thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The young man saith unto him, all these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? Yahshua said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect or complete, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Then said Yahshua unto the disciples, truly I say unto you that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. And when the disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? But Yahshua beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. See, this man had all this stuff. He wasn't willing to make himself poor that he might be rich. That's some of y'all problems. Some of y'all ain't even got a lot of stuff, and you ain't willing to give none of that stuff up for his sake. Remember the Lord told you in Matthew 6, where your heart is, your treasure will be also, and for you to lay up treasures in heaven. See, a lot of y'all ain't got no treasures laid up from heaven. That's why you can't follow him. And see with this rich man, it was only so far he was willing to go. When he see he had to make a sacrifice, he said, "This is too much for me. I'm sad about that." See, you sitting back looking at it, shoot, I ain't rich. That ain't talking about me. Guess what? You ain't got to have no material possessions. You can be like, shoot, I do this, I do that. I don't break none of them stuff. I'm straight. But he sit back and say, but if you will be perfect, give up everything you got and follow me. Forsake it all. Does that mean you really need to start picking up some of your items and put them on the auction block? No, that's not what we're talking about. But you would have to be willing to walk away from any attachments you had to this world. He wasn't willing to do that. That means he wasn't willing to humble himself or give up his inheritance. He wasn't willing to do that. You see, you sit back and look at Yahshua said, with men this is impossible, but God all things are possible. Yahshua walked away from everything that he had, knowing I can pick it up later if I suffer for a small season. But we don't look at it that way, do we? Because see, we want to hold on to this stuff. Hebrews 12:1. See, we got attachments to stuff. So we have attachments to stuff. That's why we can't walk away from it. See, he disinherited this man. This man turned around and said, I'll give it up too. It was nothing for him to do this. This man gave up his entire birthright. Wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth easily beset us. So y'all gotta sit back and look at it. What's the stuff that's holding you back? And why you ain't laid it to the side? Some of y'all know what y'all problem is, and you still carrying bricks in your back pocket. Some of you know what the sin that it is that's tripping you up, and you still meddling with it. You just won't sit back and say, I'm going to suffer in the flesh and deny it. I'm going to just go ahead and keep messing with it because I just know the Lord still loves me though. And then y'all didn't realize this man might let you get a few things that you desire just for you to think he with you, so that can be a stumbling block for you to go to hell. And some of y'all ain't even smart enough to realize that. You know you're doing stuff you ain't got no business, but you got a few things that you wanted. And you feel like, shoot, the Lord with me. I know I'm sinning. He with me. I got this right here. I got through this. And he's sitting back looking at you, yeah, nigga, but you're going to fall in a minute. Guess what? Judas sat back and looked at him. He was straight. I betrayed the man, got in the silver. Till the time came, the Lord showed him, no, nigga, you messed up. Now the time for you to die. It's too late then. We know we're looking at what we're looking at here and about a man being rich and having nothing. And a man making himself poor but had great riches. You know, they're going back to Yahshua. What Paul told us in 2 Corinthians chapter 8 about. We know the grace of our Lord, that though he was rich, he made himself poor for our sakes, that through his poverty we might be made rich. Which means he despised his birthright, he gave that up. How many of y'all will be willing to give up dominion, power, riches? You know what I'm talking about? All of that. And forsake it. And despise it. How many times did he tell the disciple, I got to die? Come on, man. We just read in Matthew 16, Peter shook this man, took hold to him to rebuke him, and said, it's not going to be so. He said, man, look here, man, you say everything that be a man and not God. I got to get that up. See, a man wouldn't get that up. That's why you sit back and you look at him and he say, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. A man is not going to do that. Does that make sense why he would say that with God this is possible, with men it's impossible? Because Peter said, you mean to tell me, when Peter said, you the Messiah, son of the living God, Peter knew who he was. So if Peter knew who he was, he knew the inheritance that he had, wouldn't you say? And when he telling him, I got to die and suffer all this stuff, he telling people, Peter, I'm giving that up. Peter said, you got to be crazy. No. Lord say, man, what good is that birthright going to do to me? I hate it. I hate it. That means that man hated his birthright enough to come die for us that we could be partakers of. Galatians 4:1. Bring you to get that, baby. Well, let's look at verse 2 though. Looking unto Yahshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. See, he sat back and looked at the joy of what he would get for giving something up, that he would get it back. Y'all don't look at the joy. So that's why you don't endure suffering in the flesh. Hold on now, somebody got to get your baby now. That's why y'all don't sit back. That's why y'all won't endure. You don't have the joy that is set before you. You don't really have a joy to do this. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go ahead and put on blast. But it's a good thing though. Hold on, because the baby hollering. You got to mute the phone or something while that baby hollering. And she hollering hard too. She is not pleased. But Chelsea told me the other day. She said, you know what? She said, I don't look at what I'm going to lose. She said, I'm looking at what I can gain. She said, I'm not looking at what I can't do. I'm looking at what I can do in the Lord. Like Paul told her, what the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, there is freedom. See, what some of y'all look at is, y'all not looking at what you can gain from the Lord. You looking at what you losing, and you don't want to lose it. A lot of y'all don't look at what you can do in the Lord. You look at what you can't do. So you carnal. That's how y'all look at stuff. Why I can't do that? I can't do this. I can't do that. I got to get this up. I got to get that up. There's no way in the world you'll be saved with that type of mind. That would be literally impossible. It's not going to happen because you don't have a joy. You don't look at the enduring of that cross as joy. See, for her to make that statement, for her that means I look at this as joy, that whatever I got to lose, I know what I'm going to pick up later is greater. She's sitting back looking at, I don't care what I can't do, what I can do in the Lord is greater than what I can't do. That's a mind of somebody that will be saved. And the only way she can have that mind because God gave it to her. So if you got a mind of, I can't do nothing. I got to get this up. I can't do this. Who gave you that mind for you to think that way? The Lord gave it to you. And only really gave you that mind because he already know. That's all you worry about. You don't look at the freedom that's in this. That's why you say the cross is power to them that are saved. We look at the suffering that we got power with God to get things greater later. That's what we're looking at. I'm not looking at, oh man, I can't smoke no weed, I can't lay with these women, I can't go to the club. Oh man, the playoff game come on 4 o'clock, I can't even watch. Oh man, there's 3-4 bowl games going on right now, I can't even watch it. Don't you know, hey, we sat back and watched Florida State get Mighty Hot last night, but guess what? If they would have been playing tonight, I wouldn't have seen it and wouldn't even care. If they were playing tomorrow afternoon, I wouldn't have seen it, wouldn't even care. Man, if the Super Bowl was on the Sabbath and the Jaguars were playing in it, that's just a game I will not see. Truth be told, it won't even enter my mind. I wonder what them boys doing in the game. I don't care. When the Sabbath click in, man, everything that's really going on in the world, it just stopped. I could know a game was going on that day, and I would completely forget about it till after the Sabbath was over with. Then I might see it somewhere. But them niggas were playing today, and I could have just seen Friday morning or afternoon that game was gonna be played and forget about it, because it's not a concern. See, some of y'all got too much stuff in your heart you concerned with. Some of y'all want to be so successful in this world you concerned with it. I seen one of our sisters was mentioning something. You know, I done showed you about them FEMA camps before. Them things ain't nothing to be worried about. Because the FEMA camps are not for martial law. They might tell you they for martial law. The FEMA camps are for people who believe and obey God's word. That's who they for. Anybody else who get caught up in it and get killed, that's just collateral damage as far as they're concerned. You know what I'm talking about? See, that stuff is not going to get activated and popped off. These people not going to start acting a fool until the time appointed. And then they're going to come after people who believe God's word. That's what they there for. They there for no other reason. They not worried about you niggas acting no monkey fool. These people can bring some drones to kill all you niggas in 5 minutes. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all don't have no weapons of warfare to go against these people. These camps are to kill people who actually believe in God. They ain't nothing to be worried about. So I'm gonna tell you something, and I told you this before in a little bit. If you worry about going to a FEMA camp, that only means because you're a sinner. If you worry about these people declaring something, it only means because you're a sinner. Because we know what the word says. We know this stuff coming. We already know this. Nation gonna vex nation. There's gonna be adversity in the land. Family members. I'm talking about. This is why I'm telling y'all about y'all being so attached to y'all family members. Some of y'all family members gonna be the one to turn you over to these people so you can be killed. And all you sitting back looking at it, that's my mama. That's my daddy. Okay, and your mama and daddy be the first one when them people come through and say, yeah, that nigga right there back there in the back. Yeah, he believe in that Yahshua character, that Jesus character, whatever you call him. Get that nigga and kill him. Yahshua already told you this. Your family gonna be the one turn you in, and y'all still want to be attached to the same people gonna get you killed. That's why some of y'all worried about that stuff. Man, I told y'all some of that stuff before. Don't get caught up in all that stuff these Israelites be talking about. They worried about it because they know they sinners and they gonna be killed. They scared of it. These niggas telling you need to prep food for 6 to 8 months. And me knowing the Lord and how he operate, he'll make sure you can't get nowhere near that food when that go down, just so you'll have to trust in him. Am I saying there's anything wrong? You know what I'm saying? Am I saying there's anything wrong with preparing yourself? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. But I also know how the Lord operates. He'll make sure you ain't got no choice but to lift up your eyes to heaven and look to him. Because, you know what I'm saying? They're just being honest. But hold on, y'all. I got something else coming about. But I'm just saying that for a reason. Don't get caught up worrying about that. We know what's going to happen. These people going to kill us. How many of y'all really right now, dead real, dead honest, will be willing to lay your life down for the word literally right now as we speak? I'm talking about, if you're not willing to do it, ain't no shame in saying right now, my faith ain't real at that point. Because it ain't no sense to open up your mouth and lie and say you will do it and you know you ain't. Because guess what? The Lord know you lying, so you might as well just tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all right now, you know, like, well, I'm willing to die for this, literally. I'm willing to die right now. You done resolved in your mind that if you have to die, you're willing to die right now. Because you got to think like that. You got to think that I might not be here I might not be alive when he get back here. That means I need to get myself right with this man before he get back here, that in case I die, if I glorify him in my death, that I'll be raised with him in glory at his coming. That's how you have to look at this stuff. Because a lot of us going to die. These people going to come for us. Do y'all not know these people hate our God? Do you not know if they hate our God, they going to hate you too? Man, look here, man. I don't see no FEMA camp. I don't see no guillotine. I don't see no gas chamber. I don't see none of that. That stuff means Acts chapter 20. See, I can endure the shame, all that stuff, because I know the joy set before me. I can live with my God and behold his face with his name written in my forehead. That's what I'm looking for. Acts 20 and 24. That's what I'm looking for. Is that what y'all looking for? Acts 20 and 22. Matter of fact, make it about 19. Look what Paul said. Let's look also something what Paul said. This is why some of y'all have a little problems. Serving the Lord with all humility of mind. See, you haven't humbled your mind. See how Yahshua said he humbled himself in the fashion of a servant even unto death? We still going to Galatians chapter 4 verse 1 and 2. I ain't forgot about it. We still holding number 14. And with many tears and temptations which befell me by the laying of wait of the Jews. So they were laying in wait to kill the man. Hold what you got. Let me see if that's Luke 22 or 21. I'm going to just read it to y'all so this sinking in your mind. Luke 21 verse 16. I want y'all to sit back and tell you. Now the Lord done told you. Now y'all keep praying with it. The Lord done, you can keep screaming, that's your mama, that's your daddy, that's your brother. But when it comes down and they got to die, you'll see how much somebody loves you. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinfolks and friends. And some of you shall they cause to be put to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. Come on back over here to Acts chapter 20. So if you sitting back and you looking at it, if the Lord done told you your mama, your daddy, your uncles, your cousins, your aunties, some of your friends, they gonna get you killed, what makes you think they ain't gonna do it? Because that's your mama. If your mama hate God, it really don't make no difference. If your dad hate God, it really don't make no difference. If your brother hate God, it really don't make no difference. Y'all don't look at that though. You steady looking at before the word, this my people. You not sitting back looking at this man is severing you from these people so you can belong to him, and he's letting you know just because that's your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your uncle, your auntie, your granddaddy, your grandma, these people don't love me, and therefore they don't really love you either. Because the right situation and circumstance arise, the people gonna turn on you. Now if the same brethren and kinfolk and friends turned on the Messiah, what you think they gonna do to you? Don't be stupid. Verse 20. And how I kept back nothing that was profitable unto you, but have showed you, and have taught you publicly, and from house to house, testifying both to the Jews and also to the Greeks, repenting toward God and faith towards our Lord Yahshua HaMashiach. And now behold, I go bound in the Spirit unto Jerusalem, not knowing the things which shall befall me there, save that the Ruach HaKodesh witness in every city, saying that bonds of affliction rest on abide me. But none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself, so that I might finish my course with joy, and the ministry which I received of the Lord Yahshua to testify the gospel of the grace of God. See, I love the way Paul put that. Paul said, don't none of that stuff move me, man. See, some of that stuff move y'all. That man said, I don't even count my life dear unto myself. I proceed with the joy. Now when you sit back and look at it, this man say afflictions abide upon me, and none of that stuff move me. None of it. See, some of y'all can't take some light persecution, so I know you can't take the real thing. I know you can't take the real thing. And it's just the reason why he put that in my mind to mention that about our sister with her brother mocking her, whether she knew it or not. It's because you have to sit back and look at it. No matter what, when the word come around and the things that pertain unto Yah, boy, everybody don't love our God. And if you be joined unto him, they not gonna love you either. Galatians chapter 4 verse 1. I'm telling you now, anybody that tell you it's all right to commit sin, even justify any manner of sin, there's nowhere in the world they love you. I'm just telling you, man, you got to be aware of your people. You got to be aware of your people. You got to be aware of them. You can sit back and look at what I'm preaching. Don't you think if I go up to the average person, man, this, that, and the other, man, the people ain't trying to hear that stuff. They not trying to hear that. You think the people gonna love me when you sit here telling them if you commit sin, you going to hell? Live clean, stop living after the flesh, stop doing what you're doing, stop seeking after your own way, your own will. Stop living after the world. Don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to hear, man, don't go out to the club now. Come on, man. Look at man. I got a lot of friends, but I ain't got no friends. I'm talking about like here in the flesh. Like I was tripping. I told my old lady we were going to watch the game. She asked me with who. I thought she would already know off the rip who I was going to watch it with. I ain't got no friends. I don't hang out with nobody. You know who I will be going with. The rest of all the brothers don't stay down here, so you know who I be going with. My homeboy, man, I used to see some of my homeboys in the street, man. They'll see me and they know I'm dealing with the word, and the first thing they think is I'm gonna just go to automatically preaching the word to them. I ain't gonna say nothing to you if I see you in the street. That's what some of y'all probably don't realize. Y'all probably think I see somebody, yeah, boy, yeah, boom, boom. I don't say nothing to them. They don't bring it up. I don't say nothing. And even when they bring it up, I try to keep it brief. Because I know they really don't want to hear that. Man, them dudes be like, they be like, bro, let me get your number, I'm going to holler at you. I give it to them. I know they're not going to call me. I know they're not going to call me. Because we're not doing the same things. We're not on the same page. We're not, and it ain't out of no disrespect. It don't mean that I don't love them. And it don't necessarily mean that they don't have love for me. They actually got to have love for me to respect me enough to not even try me. Huh? Yeah, that means they have enough respect. But see, that's the difference. See, people, my friend, they know me. They know if I'm doing something, I'm going to be doing that. So they know, I can't be calling bro talking about let's go hang out and smoke some weed. Go do this or go do that. They already know. Bro, not doing that no more. And I know, they like I said, they going to call me by my government. And they going to be like, and I know boss. I know boss ain't coming to do that. If he dealing with the word, he dealing with that. Yeah, they know that. So you have to sit back, you have to look at that. If people sit back and they know that they can call you and they know you going to come intermingle and do that stuff with them, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. Galatians 4:1. After that, we can look at Hebrews chapter 11. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differ nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all, but is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the father. He said, I will disinherit him until the time appointed. Even so, when we were children, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And because ye are sons, God hath sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son, and if a son, then an heir of God through the Messiah. That means when he sought to disinherit us by smiting us with that pestilence or disease or death, because we took on that death of the Messiah, then we would actually come up to be that mightier and greater nation that he told Moses he would make of him after he disinherited him. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 11 by verse 22. Remember, it's a similitude. Did he actually disinherit the people and make a greater nation out of Moses? No. But it was showing you something to come, that he was going to disinherit. Because remember, that was Israel he said he was going to disinherit. And he said, after I disinherit Israel, I'll make a greater people. And we know when this man was disinherited, meaning rejecting being the Son of God, and he was the Son of Man, and he died when he rose from the dead to actually take on the inheritance, he became a greater and mightier nation. It's 23 that we would like to see. Hebrews 11 and 23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, listen to what he said when he would come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of the Messiah greater riches than the treasures of Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. Now we sit back and look at that. It said Moses refused to be called Pharaoh's daughter. So how would that tie back to the Messiah? How would that tie back to the Messiah, everybody? Exactly. He left his first estate. He refused to be called the Son of God. And he went around telling people, only a few people who he revealed himself to did it. You don't see him calling himself the Son of God, and people outright openly did it. He did it to the man who he opened his eyes in John chapter 9. He did it to his disciples. Even after he told them that he was the Messiah, he told them, don't tell nobody. So when he left his father's house and got from amongst his brethren, that means he refused to be called Pharaoh's daughter or Yah's son. And he said he chose to suffer affliction with the children of God. Now we know that him dwelling in his father's kingdom was not, in his father's tabernacle, was not him enjoying the pleasures of sin for a season. But we sitting back and we looking at something. Moses coming up from a high state to a low state rather to suffer with the people. That means he would have gave up his inheritance. Because if he would have stayed in there, then what would Moses been in line to become? He would have been Pharaoh. But he refused that, didn't he? He refused that. And he said, you know what? I'll come down here and I'll suffer with y'all. I'd rather come down here and suffer with y'all. Remember, he a prophet like unto Moses. We already read Deuteronomy 18. A prophet like unto you. Now we have to sit back and look at that. How many of y'all willing to suffer affliction? Give me a second. Just look at 2 Timothy chapter 1. How many of y'all willing to suffer affliction that you might esteem the reproach of the Messiah greater riches than what you can get out of the world? See, that's going back to what we're looking at. What you hold more dear to you, the riches of Egypt, the riches of sin, the stuff you can get out of sin, or do you esteem being dishonored for the Lord's sake greater riches? Y'all really look at it. Y'all don't look at it, sit back and look at it. Y'all don't want to give up no inheritance. Y'all love that world. Y'all ain't going to get nothing out. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 6. Y'all not going to get nothing out. Ain't no way you going to do it. Some of y'all behave yourself. You ain't going to get nothing out. You're not going to reject everything to get God. You ain't going to do it. It's too much stuff got a hold to you. You know what I'm talking about? You got to let that stuff out your heart. Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of God which is in thee by the putting on of my hands. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Lord, nor me of me his prisoner. Be thou a partaker of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of God, who have saved us with a kodesh calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in the Messiah Yahshua before the world began, but is now made manifest by the appearing of our Savior Yahshua the Messiah, who have abolished death and have brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. You got to be willing to be a partaker of the afflictions of the gospel. That's the only way the power of God is going to rest upon you. To suffer in the flesh, to suffer persecution, to sanctify yourself from the world. You sit there and y'all quick to tell people about, yeah, he didn't come to bring peace, he came to bring a sword, but yet you won't cut yourself off from nobody. Now what type of sin? Some of y'all don't realize that y'all are first grade class A hypocrites. Because the very things you say to other people, you won't do it. You're not going to do it. We sitting back telling you, this man sitting back telling you he going to set a man at variance where father-in-law going to be against son-in-law and daughter-in-law going to be against mother-in-law, and the man enemy is going to be the foes of his own house, which Yahshua enemies were those of his own house, and you sitting back thinking your people going to love and skin and grin with you, because that's what you want to do. I love you, baby. First chance they get, them white folk come to kick it in them doors and waving them AR-15s and them AK-47. That nigga in the back. That nigga in the back. Matter of fact, I just sucked that nigga out for bread. He'll be back in about 10 minutes. I'm telling you now. We just heard the Lord say it, and it's not the first time we done read it. Your kinfolk gonna be the first one turn on you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, it's gonna be just like it was in the 60s during the civil rights movement. It's gonna be niggas in the congregation gonna sell me out. You alright? I'm telling you right now, I know if they not present now, it could be some brought in later. It's going to be niggas in the congregation sell me out. They done did it before. They'll sit back, they'll step to one of you niggas, wave some money in your faces, because you niggas love the treasures of Egypt and don't esteem the reproach of the Messiah. You'll take it, and you'll do just like Judah did. Where do you think the white folk got that from? Get an infiltrator. If we can't plant a nigga in there, we'll go to a nigga who already there. And we'll get you murdered. Man, see, y'all think I'm dumb. See, I know some of y'all think I'm stupid. You know what I'm talking about? I'm far from that. I just look like this on the weekend. During the week, I might not look as dumb. You know what I'm talking about? Just on the weekend. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm telling you now, I ain't stupid by a long shot. And I know some of you niggas shaky. Some of you niggas flaky. Like them Grand's biscuits you get out there, some of you niggas flaky. You know what I'm talking about? You know, there's some good biscuits too. Hot and flaky. You know what I'm talking about? And you know when you got them flaky biscuits, that top part just come on right on real easy. And that's how some of you niggas is. I already know. You know what I'm talking about? I already know. I already know. I'm saying, I ain't saying that to be mean. I'm just being real with you. Man, even when I was in the street, man, niggas sit back and look at, man, niggas know the niggas who, when that pressure come, who gon' fold? You know some of y'all, when that pressure come, y'all gon' fold? Because you ain't built that way. I can sit back and tell you, you ain't built that way. A lot of niggas ain't built that way. I'm telling you, it's real easy to be in situations, don't talk about, till that pressure come. Go to know that saying we say in these streets, what pressure do? I'm tired of telling you. I'm tired of telling you. You know what I'm talking about? And when that pressure come, the white folks talking about putting niggas in prison, murking niggas, you know what I'm talking about? Beheading niggas. Come on, man. You gonna be just like the niggas on First 48. Man, give me a cigarette. I tell you whatever you want to know. I tell you whatever you want to know. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you that to resolve this in your mind. You understand what I'm telling you? That if you know what's coming and you seen that the Messiah was willing to give up everything he had to pick it up later and to suffer, we got to do the same thing. Because in him getting disinherited, let's go back and look at number 14. Because remember, he said, I'm going to smite him with a pestilence or with a disease. That disease was death. We know that. We just looked at that in Job. You see how the Lord take all this stuff tied together? Let me make sure with that Job chapter 12. Let's see if that war. With that Job chapter 12. I know it was Job. Let me make sure it was Job chapter 12. We read that. It might have been 14. 13. I appreciate it. It was Job 13. We just looked at it not too long ago. Let me find it. Appreciate it. Job, no, that's not 26. That's where they write bitter things against me, call me to possess the iniquities of my youth. I know what that one say. Either way, we ain't got time to look. I can't look. Y'all know what, somebody else will find it when it's time. But he said by reason of my disease, my garment is torn. Now we got to sit back and look at it. This man disinherited. Hold on. We'll read the number 14 and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Number 14, verse 11, 12, one more time. Because you got to look back and look at it. The people provoked him and did not believe for the sign. So therefore he smited this man with the pestilence and he disinherited them and make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. So because he disinherited them, he said, I'm going to disinherit them, make them a greater nation, more powerful. Come on around here to Titus chapter 2. We're going to look at Hebrews 2 in a minute. That's what we have to sit back and look at. You won't die to take on that disease. So your garment can be changed. Titus chapter 2 verse 12. Make it 11. That's what we got to start looking at. This thing serious, man. What you willing, that's why he say, this man say, I'm going to disinherit them. Yahshua himself despised on birthright. Say, what good did birthright going to do to me seeing I'm willing to die? I don't want it. He despised it. Say, I don't want it. Y'all sitting back looking at it. Y'all trying to keep everything you can. You trying to keep everything you can. You trying to keep everything and everybody you can. And you're not going to be saved. That way it's going to drag you straight to hell. Titus 2 and 11. He say, for the grace of God that brings salvation have appeared unto all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we shall live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present world, looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great God and our Savior, Yahshua HaMashiach, who gave himself for us because he rejected his inheritance, that he might redeem us from all iniquity. So he was willing to do that. He was willing to reject his inheritance to get you from out of sin. To get you out of sin, this man was willing to forsake his entire inheritance to redeem, and get what? And to purify unto himself a peculiar people zealous of good work. So he was willing to purify his people. Let's look at something in Job chapter 14, verse 4. He was willing to purify the people. And that's Job 30 and 18. Let's look at Job 30 and 18 first. Y'all just bear with me. It's still something in Jeremiah we got to look at. Hopefully, Lord we'll get through it. So when we look at Job 30 and 18, let's just look what he said. By great force of my disease is my garment changed. It binds me about as the collar of my coat. Matter of fact, look at verse 17. We just went over this, but let's make sure you can look at it. Make it 16. Just to make sure you remember. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of my affliction, the days of affliction had taken a hold upon me. No, before he got ready to get killed, his suffering would come, and he went to crying out. My bones are pierced in me in the night season. My sinews take no rest. By great force of my disease is my garment changed. It bind me about as the collar of my coat. He hath cast me into the mire. I become like dust and ashes. Hebrews 2 and 11. We'll get to Job 14 and 4. Hebrews 2 and 11. Because he said he came to purify you as purify you to make you a peculiar people. Now you sit back and see that this man rejected his inheritance, was disinherited by God. Because we just looked at it last week of why the father couldn't hear him when he cried out, because he became sin, so therefore he couldn't hear him. Which means you not mine no more. At this present time, you not my son. Hebrews 2, not 2 and 11, 2 and 7. Make it 6. But in one certain place testifies, saying, what is man that thou art mindful of him, or the son of man that thou visit him, that thou make him a little lower than the angels, thou crown him with glory and honor, and didst set him over all the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet, for in that he put in all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him, but we see Yahshua, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he by the grace of God should taste death for every man. For it became him for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. This man said to bring many sons unto glory, which means they would be a mightier and greater nation than they were before us. Let's look at 1 John 3 and 1 before we look at Job 14 and 4. Now I want y'all to sit back and look at it. This man was made a little lower than the angels. I mean, he rejected his inheritance. I reject my birthright. I make myself poor that you might be rich. Because if we willing to suffer with him, we would be heirs. And if heirs, then joint heirs with the Messiah, and we would reign with him if we was willing to suffer with him. It means you have to take up that cross. You need to watch your head. You need to move. You've been dismissed. Move. 3 and 1. You got to go. You know your head about bigger than a bowling ball.
We laugh for that long. Why are they still laughing?
I'm telling you, put hole all in the wall. We're going to have to get, mess around messing with you, we're going to have to get an industrial headboard. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's true. Go do it.
But what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world know us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now we are the sons of God. It doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. Every man that hath this hope in him purify himself, even as he is pure. Let's look at Job chapter 14, verse 4. That's our hope right there. Some people don't hope to become a son of God. I want to know how these dudes going to become a son of God without the Messiah. Good luck for them. Make it verse 1. Say, let's see how that work out for you. Man that is born of woman is a few days and full of trouble. Didn't we just read in Galatians chapter 4 how it said the Messiah was made of a woman? He only had a short time on this earth, didn't it? 33 years, pretty short. And he was full of trouble. Because what did the book say? He was a man of sorrows. Rejected of men. That means he'd be full of trouble. He sat back, we already read where he told the disciples, I got to suffer many things of the chief priests and be killed and all that. That means he'd be full of trouble. And he came forth like a flower and is cut down. He flee also as a shadow and continue not? And dost thou open thy eyes upon such a one, and bring me into judgment with thee? Did he open his eyes on such a one? When we read last week, his eyes was too pure to look upon evil, right? But let's see what verse 4 says. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. So now we need to ascertain what this means. Who can bring an unclean thing, a clean thing, out of an unclean one? What y'all think that could mean? What y'all think that means? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean one? You got an idea? You do. Yep. Absolutely. You're supposed to be able to put that together when he say he gave himself to redeem us from iniquity, to purify us under him, right? And if you purify, you will be clean. If you become the son of God, you will be clean. So when he brought a clean thing, he said, how can you bring a clean thing out of an unclean one? We just looked at last week, he was unclean by the issue of blood, now wasn't it? We also looked at he became death that he would be unclean. He also became sin, which made him what? Unclean. So how did he bring this clean thing out of an unclean one? Romans chapter 1:1. And how are we going to be able to be made clean out of something that's unclean? We'll look at Romans chapter 8 after that. So we got to sit back, so we got to know this type of stuff. See, all the thing Israelites want to sit back and do is talk about stupid stuff. But yet they have no understanding. Now you sit back and look at it. We know why this man did certain things that he did. We know why the Father didn't heal Yahshua. I find it funny because teacher sat back and say she seen somebody right after the Sabbath around here talking about, well, if he was the Son of God, why he didn't hear him? And the Lord just showed it. This is why he healed him. These dudes don't know that. And we sitting back and you want to be linked up with them. I told y'all once before, y'all can do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can do what you want to do. I don't mess with all them Hebrew niggas like that. You know what I'm saying? But I'll tell y'all something. I don't mess with all these Hebrew niggas. And the reason why I don't mess with them is majority of them full of crap. This ain't really what they want to do. This is a social club for them. They get on Facebook, they like to talk about stuff, talk about this, talk about that. Niggas ain't living nothing. I done told y'all, don't be dumb enough. These niggas will get amped up because they seen a video of Shaquille O'Neal saying Shabbat Shalom. Does that mean? Come on, man. Can't be that dumb to think he in the word. Just had a wig and a dress on last week.
Yep.
You can't fall for that. That's what they don't realize. He mock. Nigga Mason, he know what time it is. He mocking you. Cause Shaq ain't giving up that cushy job at TNT. Shaq ain't finna stop selling you gold bar medicated powder. He ain't finna do it. Hold on, what I just asked for? Oh, Roman 1:1. He not giving that up. Niggas steady showing videos of Amari Stoudemire, Roman 1:1. Talking about he IOG for life. How he IOG in the Knicks playing right now and he on the court? He ain't around there, no service, now time gathering with nobody. He not giving up them $20 million the Knicks paying him. He's not giving back that Nike contract. He ain't giving that back. But see, all we sit back and look at is all somebody got to do is say certain key. Like, I'm going to tell you, Amari Stoudemire went far with it. See, these niggas just find out about this stuff. Amari Stoudemire actually went all the way to Israel and was dealing with the white folks with the floppy hat and the curls. You know what I'm talking about? He was messing with them folks. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was Jewish on his mama's side. He was thinking how they thought. Now he coming back. What so what a nigga give a message about we the children of Israel and get up and go commit sin? So what? That's what we look at though. That's all these niggas care about is you know you Israel, you know you shouldn't eat pork, sis. No, how you gonna have New Year's in the middle of the winter? New Year in the spring. Tell a dumb nigga the book say it's summer and winter. There is spring. I just wanted to let people know ain't nothing born in the dead. That show you how dumb they are to something that small and minute information that these niggas don't even know it's only 2 seasons. That's bad. That's bad. And don't you know you're not going to be saved because you don't know that? Because you saying it's a spring and a fall and y'all say there is no spring or fall? That means you would actually be in rebellion? I'm talking about something that small. So what do people screw cause ain't nothing new in the wintertime? Man, they let it be known. You're gonna speak by the man that's the Roman god Janus, the god of beginning and ending. You're worshiping an idol god, keep it moving. All the extra stuff is irrelevant. You know what I'm talking about? The New Year's in April. Why are you messing with these people about this stuff? You not turning, they don't care. They don't care. Man, all they know on that nigga, December 31st, nigga, we finna go out, we finna get that yak, we finna drink, we finna get freaky, we finna club, we finna party, and watch football. Eat us some black-eyed peas and greens. Don't wash no clothes, nigga. We going to church. We gonna bring New Year in church.
Praying in.
I'm just telling you now.
Exactly, we had to do it.
All that type of stuff. And all that stuff they get from the pagans. They get from the Gentiles. You know what I'm talking about? So if these people are wrapped up in that stuff, I mean, if you're not going to turn, man, ain't nobody trying to hear that. They got it in their mind. They finna go get drunk. They finna smoke. The Lord got to open their heart to where I don't want to do this no more. You know what I'm saying? You got to be, man, look at me. How many of y'all, I ain't post nothing about New Year's. I ain't post nothing about Christmas. I ain't post nothing about Thanksgiving. For what? I know it's wrong. But guess what? Them 900 people on my page, man, most of them don't care. And if you saying that stuff, you singing to the choir. So what's the point? Romans 1:1. Somebody got a lot of noise going on. Oh, come on. Paul. He said he unequally yoked. He said, hey, he just told you why, because he said I'm unequally yoked. My wife just come here and flip the TV on. Ain't give me no love in here. He just keep it at 100 with you. He just told you I'm unequally yoked. My wife ain't riding with this. I feel you. I hear you. Shoot, that's how it be sometimes. Man, I was ready to separate from my family May 2009 when Fat Boy brought me to the house and let me, I was willing to cut everybody out. Ain't make nothing bit of difference. When I got up here, what first thing I told you? Don't call me talking about no Christmas, no Thanksgiving dinner. I ain't coming. It wasn't even nowhere near none of these days. I already told you, I ain't coming. Dude talking about, I'm at holiday dinner with my family looking crazy when they bless the food. And all I can think is, nigga, why you there? Cause my people already know. Once I said I wasn't coming, they know I wasn't coming. Cause I meant every single solitary word of that. I'm not coming. Don't ask. Don't look for me. Don't be hoping might show up. I ain't showing up. I ain't showing up. You know what I'm talking about? You have a birthday party, I might show up. As long as you ain't got no candles on the cake. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't showing up for no Thanksgiving or Christmas. I might show up. No, it depends. I mean, I actually, man, you go there, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with somebody wanting, as long as they ain't got no candle, because that's not no, people sit back and look at it, man. There's people who were celebrating birth. What you think they were doing with the Lord when he was born? There's plenty of people in that book came and brought gifts to somebody on the day of their birth. See, the only time you sit back that Israelites like to zero in and focus on is Pharaoh, when his butler was killed, and with John the Baptist. But John the Baptist wasn't killed because it was a birthday. It's because that wicked woman saw opportunity. Because Herodotus had made an oath and he had to keep his word. He didn't even want to do that to John the Baptist. That was a wicked one. That had nothing to do with John the Baptist. It had nothing to do because it was a birthday. It was just opportunity. If one of y'all want to tell somebody happy birthday, you ain't did nothing wrong. You want to take somebody out for dinner on their birthday, you ain't did nothing wrong. You want to buy somebody a gift for their birthday, you ain't did nothing wrong. But once you get a cake and you put some candles on it, now you done something wrong. Because the candles they were blowing out, they blew out the candles was to chase away evil spirits. That's what the candles were for. You know what I'm talking about? We blow these candles out to scare all the evil spirits away. Ain't no big deal, man. The older you get, birthdays don't be that big of a deal to you. You know what I'm talking about? But man, look here, man. Somebody say, man, I'm gonna take you out on your birthday, man. Don't be sitting around here acting. Go on, sit down. Look here, nigga. If I offer you to take you out for your birthday, you turn me down. Don't never think I'm gonna ask you to take you out to eat ever again after that. I'm dead serious now. If I say, hey man, I'm gonna take you out for your birthday, we gonna sit around here. We gonna go to such and such, get something to eat. You know what I'm talking about? And you be like, I ain't going. I don't like this here. All right. Don't look for another one then. You know what I'm talking about? Don't be sitting around, because then I'm going to look at you and be like, well, why you want me to take you out to dinner now? I mean, y'all don't even realize the gift-giving thing on Christmas comes from Purim. I mean, you sit back and look at it, of course, you know they were coming to Yahshua and Matthew because he was the king, but they were coming to bring gifts. You know what I'm talking about? There's nowhere in the book where he tell you that wrong. It's just a simple fact of people are idolatrous anyway. It's not that people are idolatrous 364 days out of the week. Their birthday, they just magnify the idolatry they already in. Because they want to do what they want to do. You know what I'm talking about? Don't get caught up with it. You got to remember them same Super Hebrew tell you that don't keep nothing else though. They tell you don't keep no birthday, but them niggas break every other thing else. If that's a sin, why you don't keep the rest of it? You're telling lies, you're fornicating, you're telling these women, I sleep with you, you my wife, but then you want to divorce them. But you write a piece of paper up to do that though. These niggas lie, they steal, they blaspheme, they lust every day. You know what I'm talking about? These women around here got eyebrows looking like scary spider, look like they gonna scare everybody halfway to death. I'm talking about, I seen a Hebrew woman this evening, boy. I'm talking about her eyebrows scared me. I'm talking about face looking like Bozo the Clown. Got more jewelry on in a little bit, but they like this here. But I don't celebrate birthdays though. Sit your stinking butt down somewhere. You might as well. Romans 1:1. Don't get caught up in that stuff. That stuff ain't no big deal. Alright, this here. Now see, I don't care for nothing on my birthday. Somebody bought me something last year anyway, didn't even tell me. Because she knows she couldn't told, I'd have told her not to do it. You know it. If I'd have known that beforehand, little mother, wouldn't I have told her don't do that? That's why you ain't say nothing. My sister, no, I told you ain't got to do that. It's been plenty of times. I'm like, no, you ain't got to do that. You know how many times that she can say that? How many times now you try to get me to start telling you ain't got to do that? I'm good on that. I don't need that. If you like to say you had it already, I already know that because I told you once don't pay my phone bill. You went and did it anyway. And I explicitly told you not to do it. I get a text message. You know what I'm saying? I get a text message from Metro. I mean, I just say, hey man, you got love for me. I get a text message from Metro saying my bill paid. I say, hey, this nigga went and did it anyway. I'm telling you, she one of them people tell this. I guess you got to do her like this here. Go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it. You ain't gonna do it because I tell you not to do it. You gonna do it. But Romans 1:1. Paul, a servant of Yahshua the Messiah, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Kodesh scriptures concerning his son, Yahshua HaMashiach our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of God with power, according to the Spirit of Kodesh by the resurrection from the dead. Because we know that he washed us with we were made clean by the washing of the water of the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious house, without spot, wrinkle, or blemish, or any such thing. So this man was literally able to take a clean, unclean thing, make something unclean, clean. That we could be accepted before God, because can't nothing unclean come before God, right? Let's look at Romans 8:1. That's what we need to sit back and look at. This man, because he disinherited, and we ain't even touched on stuff. I guess we can save that for another thing. Because I had one more part with the killing of one man, but I guess we'll save it for later. Huh? Save it for later, right? Because that's a whole other thing in itself. Because we got to go back into that more in depth about him talking about killing the people as one man. I ain't even touch everything I want to touch, but I'm going to try to. I'm just going to roll. It's 10:45. We ain't got nothing to do. Come on with it. Romans 8:1. This therefore now know no condemnation of them which in the Messiah Yahshua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For the law of Spirit of life in the Messiah Yahshua have made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son, the likeness of sinful flesh, unclean, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. He made a clean thing out of an unclean one. Who could do it? Nobody but Yahshua HaMashiach. But let's look at Jeremiah chapter 50. Before I forget, we got to get it in. We got to get Jeremiah 50 in here. Everybody all right? Everybody cool? Oh, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Jeremiah chapter 50 about verse 19, verse 20. Make it 19. Oh, I guess 17 is better. Okay, Jeremiah 50 and 17. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria have devoured him, and last this Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon have broken his bones. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation. He shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. Now how is Israel a scattered sheep? And what is this habitation that he would bring him back to? But how is Israel a scattered sheep? Because we know if this is saying Israel in the singular fashion, it's the Messiah, correct? So how is he a scattered sheep? Is as scattered sheep, and what is this habitation that he's bringing him back to? Absolutely. Absolutely. So now how is he the scattered sheep? We already read it. We already read it. Then we read how he said tonight, all y'all gonna be offended in me, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. Now he's right on that when he talk about bringing them to the habitation. He say, I go back unto my father. He say, where I go, you cannot come. Verse 20. In those days and in that time, saith Yah, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none. And the sins of Judah, they shall not be found, for I will pardon them whom I reserve. How was the iniquity of Israel sought for and it wasn't found? Now I'm going to see who really thinking right now. How was the sin of Israel sought for and it wasn't found? I'm going to see who really thinking right now. Not just the scapegoat, which is true though, because that's the sins of Israel. But now we need to sit back and we need to look at something. I want y'all to really think. When was the sin of Israel looked for but not found? Let's look at Matthew chapter 28 and verse 1. Indeed, but wasn't the Messiah made to be sin when he was on that tree? Let's look at Matthew 28:1. Yeah, but I'm talking about, so if they were seeking for the iniquity, how was it not found? Let's see. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake and became as dead men, And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that you seek Yahshua which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen. And he said, Come, see the place where the Lord lay. He had done pardoned his iniquity to whom he reserved. It was gone. They came to look for him. It wasn't found. Remember, say the sins of Judah. If he disinherited this man. He said, I'm going to disinherit you and make you a great and mightier nation because of the sins of the people, of them provoking him to anger because of their unbelief. They come looking. Look what it said back in verse 20 of Jeremiah 50. It says that they would come and seek for the iniquity of Israel, and they wouldn't find it. In the sins of Judah, it wouldn't be found. I will pardon. If you reserve something, what does that mean? I pardon them whom I reserve. What does that mean? Look at the context of the sentence. I pardon them whom I reserve. If you reserve something, what would that mean? Obey or who I have chosen. I pardon him whom I have chosen. This is my beloved son, hear ye him. I've chosen him from the foundation of the world to save the world from their sin. He said God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. So that means I pardon them whom I reserve. They did it. If Yahshua became deaf on that tree and they coming up there to that grave looking for him, I mean they looking for that iniquity. And when they got there, it wasn't found. Because he made a clean thing out of an unclean one. Ain't that something? Verse 21 of Jeremiah 50th chapter. We'll save 51 for another day. We really don't even need 51 beyond. He say a sound, verse 21 of Jeremiah 50. Pardon me for that. In those days and at that time, saith Yah, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none. And the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. I will pardon them whom I reserve. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith Yah, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou also art taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yah. Kodesh and Trail, you hold your peace. Who is the hammer? Okay, but how do you know that? I know that y'all know that, but where? How will we know he the hammer? Where can we go and find and read to see that he the hammer? Jeremiah chapter 23. Hold Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 23. Jeremiah 23, verse 23. He said, am I a God at hand? Make it 21. I want y'all to hear this. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But they had stood in my counsel and caused my people to hear my words, that they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil that they doing. Some of y'all sit by and y'all still mess with people you know God ain't sent, asking them questions about the word, seeking their counsel from the word. You got to be utterly retarded and stupid. When we just talked about last week, you are blessed when you don't seek the counsel of the ungodly. Why would you ask advice from sinners? I don't care if they know if they're Israel or not. You know how these niggas living. What type of counsel can they give you? What type of godly edification can they give you? That's just me. I ain't gonna do it. Am I a God at hand, saith Yah, and not a God afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him? Hold on, where that? Saith Yah, do I not feel heaven and earth, saith Yah? I've heard what the prophet said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophecy lies? Here they are prophets of deceit and of their own heart. These dumb niggas tell you this about Martin Luther King. When Martin Luther King wasn't making no prophecy of y'all, he just was giving a speech. All they took is, he said, I have a dream. That's got to be him. Listen what he say, which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgot my name for Baal. That's all it is about false prophets, prophesying lies in man's name. If you forget Yah's name, that means you forget that he is merciful, righteous, forgiving sin and iniquity, but by no means clear the guilty, abundant in goodness and truth. Kodesh, clean, sanctified, hallowed, all the things that are attributed to his name. Say about no Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King didn't say nothing about God or Jesus nan time when he stood up there on that day that speech, did he? All he was talking about is he wanted racial equality. That's all that speech was about. He said, the prophet that have a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that have my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, saith Yah? Is not my word like as a fire, saith Yah, and like a hammer that break the rock in pieces? He said his word is like a hammer. What does Revelation 19 say about Yahshua? What, that he had a name written on him, and what was that name? The word of God. So that means that hammer that we read about here, of the hammer of the whole earth is cut asunder and broken, that would be the Messiah being killed, now wouldn't it? Now he say this hammer break people in pieces. Matthew chapter 20. Because he said the hammer of the whole earth. We know Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon ain't the hammer of the whole earth. But remember similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. Verse 41 of Matthew chapter 20. Matthew chapter 20, verse 41. They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their seasons. Yahshua said unto them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected? We'll deal with that another day too, more in depth. The same is become the head of the corner. That is Yah's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing the fruits thereof. Whosoever fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to pieces. Because it said his rock, his hammer, breaketh into pieces. That word fall on you, man, you done. And it makes sense that he say his word would break into pieces, considering that his hammer was cut into sunder and broken, right? So it makes sense he'd have to come back around and break you too, huh? But see, it's better for him to break you in your heart that you might be contrite and repent, than for him to break you and send you to hell. Better get cut by the word. Better get cut by the word and get healed by it, than to be cut by it and killed. What you were saying, Kodesh? Well, that was Matthew chapter 20, starting at verse 41. But now we're back in Jeremiah chapter 50. No, 20 and 41. Now we're looking at Jeremiah 20, 50 and 23 again. So we see how the hammer of the whole earth was broken, right? He was cut asunder and broken. Because you know, I mean, they didn't cut into all the pieces, but you know full well he got cut pretty good with that spear, right? And he became a desolation among the nations. Because you know everybody at this Passover, you know everybody had them came up for it, right? He was destroyed among all these people. Verse 24. Now what is that snare that he laid for him? And how did he strive against y'all? Y'all should know. We've been talking about it the last 2 weeks. What was the snare and how did he strive against him? What was the snare? Judas was the snare. And he was taken. And they found him and they caught him. We just read that. Didn't Judas take them people right there where he was at? They found him, they caught him. We already read it. Now we're just coming back getting validation somewhere else by something we already read. But now how did he strive against y'all? Anybody know? Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now don't sit back and think, these niggas tell you that's some angels having sex with women. When Matthew 22, Yahshua tell you the children of the resurrection are like unto angels, and they don't give in the marriage, nor to give in the marriage. Ain't no spiritual creature ain't got no desire talking about let me go get freaky with no woman. Don't you think if angels had sex with women, he would have been pretty clear to let you know that? Why don't nobody else in this book testify nothing nowhere about no angels laying with no women? Now we know y'all, right? If that's a mystery of the hidden truth, it would be somewhere plainly and clearly where we'd be able to get understanding to see that clearly, right? We got Yahshua saying clearly in Matthew chapter 22, he said, you err, not knowing the power of God, nor the scriptures, that the children of the resurrection are not given into marriage, nor are married, but are like the angels in heaven. So if you're a child of the resurrection, and you like the angels, and you're not getting freaky, then what makes you think they're talking about some angels getting freaky? But look at verse 3 though. I just had to make that clear because I know some of y'all have heard that before. Ain't no angels around here swimming. When they think of the angels left with their first estate, that would be them angels meaning they first place. Yeah, that go back to that Revelation 12. Go back to Michael. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That mean they just left their first place. Yeah. Yeah. I know they're talking about they left there, but he put him in chains. But he ain't never say nothing about him getting freaky swinging no penis though. I'm just being honest. He ain't telling nothing about him swinging no penis though. No, he said right there. He say he reserved. So he reserved them an everlasting change on the daughters in the judgment day. He said they wasn't swinging no slack though. So they kept that in the holster. Verse 3 though. And y'all said, my spirit, he said, y'all said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Why would y'all sit back and say that he would not always strive with man? What y'all think why he would say this here? Well, let's look at verse 4 and let's just keep on coming and speak for itself. And there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And look at verse 11. And the earth also was corrupt before God. The earth was filled with violence. God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. So if his spirit not always striving with man because of his flesh, that means his spirit wouldn't always strive against them because of sin. He said he broke this man down and caught him in a snare and a trap because he strived with Yah. So that means Yahshua would have strove with Yah because he took on sin. Therefore he had to fight against it. Let's come back and let's look at it in Jeremiah 50. That's what he said. Now, go ahead. We got in verse 24, he said, I have laid a snare for thee, thou also taken, O Babylon, thou was not aware, thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against y'all. Remember Yahshua said, I got to drink this cup, Peter. He said, if you fight, how will the scriptures be fulfilled? When he up here and he going through that time where he done disinherited him, Why was y'all angry with them in Numbers 14? Because of sin. You know what I'm talking about? He said, I won't always strive with man because he's flesh. We just read in Romans 8, he took on sinful flesh to condemn sin in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? He was striving with these men because of the sin they had done corrupted in way. So that means he had to come on and take this on. He done corrupted in way. I got to strive with you. I got to remember you ain't nothing but flesh, but I raised you greater than a martyr at the time appointed. Now we got to look at that when we commit sin, we strive against y'all. That means why we have to cease from it. Then we'll do just like he said, I won't strive with you no more. Verse 25. Then y'all have, look what he said. Y'all have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of Yah Elohim of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Then we just read how he said y'all came out against me with swords and staves. Opened up his armory. You know when you open up an armory, it means you're getting ready to go to war. And they went to war against the man, did they not? And he said because of the weapons of his indignation, the anger that he had for man, he took it out on one man. Lord, we'll come back and deal with that one man. I wanted to work both of them in, but the Lord didn't permit that today. Do y'all see what we looking at? Anybody, the rest of y'all see what we looking at? John chapter 5, verse 39. What'd you say? You said no? You don't see it? You don't what you know? Well, hold on. Hold on. Well, we got to finish. Let me finish. All right. John 5 and 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me, that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of God in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that comes from God only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuse you, even Moses in whom ye trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Hallelujah for Yahshua. Thank God for the word. I appreciate everybody this evening. Y'all understood all the stuff this evening. So thank the Lord.